Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm really excited for my video today because it's going to be the first video of a new series I'm starting here, and I think that the series is going to be really fun and I think you guys will really like it. So I'm really excited to get this started. So you guys are probably wondering what it is, and I'm gonna tell you. Hold on. Here I have a bunch of PetSmart care guides. I have a whole bunch of different ones. I don't know, there's a lot here. Here I have a bunch of different Petco care guides, so I have a bunch here as well. So yeah, overall I have a bunch of PetSmart care guides and a bunch of Petco care guides, and I thought that it would be fun to go through these and just kind of look at the information in them and see if it's correct or not, or if it's good or bad and all that. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that chain pet stores such as PetSmart and Petco aren't really known for giving out the best information when it comes to pet care. That's why I thought it would be kind of interesting to take a look at all of these care guides on camera to see if the information's right or not. So what I think I'll be doing for each video is I'll take a couple care guides and we'll just look through them. I'll only do one store per video. So for today we're going to do PetSmart. We're going to take a couple of the PetSmart care guides and look through them, and then maybe next time we'll do Petco. Okay, let's see what we have. So here we have Skinks, and the picture on the front is a blue-tongued skink, and here we have ball pythons. Here we have a Syrian hamster. Now, just in case you guys are wondering, I only picked up care guides for animals that I actually own or like have experience caring for, because obviously, for example, I have never owned a bird in my life, so I'm not going to go and pick up a care guide for a bird and then say if it's right or wrong, because I have no bird experience. I only picked up care guides for animals that I have experience with. All of that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at these care guides and see what's up with them. I just want to say I'm not going to be reading every single thing in the care guide on camera because there's a lot in here, and if I read every single detail on here, it would probably be a really long video. So because of that, I'm just going to kind of read through this and then talk about the things that really stick out to me, the things that are either really good or really bad. So let's go ahead and start off with the Syrian hamster care guide. So the first thing I noticed is right on the front here, it says that they should be housed alone, which is definitely true. A lot of new hamster owners and like little kids and stuff don't know that Syrian hamsters cannot be kept with other hamsters, so it's good that they let people know they should always be kept alone. Okay, so I see something very concerning right off the bat. First of all, I'm sure you can see this picture of a cage right here, and obviously that is not ideal at all. This is horrible for a Syrian hamster. When you look through the care guide here, it actually says the minimum cage size is a 12 by 12 by 12. So essentially 1 square foot. Now when you think about it, a Syrian hamster needs a 10 to 12 inch wheel. I don't think a 12-inch cage is going to work very well. Obviously that is ridiculously small. 12 by 12 by 12 is so tiny. There would be no room for an appropriate sized wheel or food bowl, hides, chew toys, or anything like that in a cage that small. In case you didn't know, the minimum cage size for hamsters is 450 square inches of floor space, whereas a cage that is 12 by 12 by 12 would only measure 144 inches of floor space, so that is very, very small. Oh yeah, please do not keep your hamster in a cage that tiny. They are very active animals and they need lots of room. And just in case you think I'm making this up, I will show you. Right, it's not focusing very well, but 12 by 12 by 12 right there. Next big red flag I noticed is that it says to line the bottom of the cage with 1 to 2 inches of bedding. Now again, this is not at all appropriate for a hamster. If you know anything about hamsters, you know that they are burrowing animals, so they like to burrow in their substrate and make like tunnels and little burrows down there. They need way more than 1 to 2 inches of bedding. Ideally, you will probably want around 6 inches of bedding. There are some people out there who think they need even more, like 10 or 12 inches. In my opinion, 6 inches is okay, but no matter what, 1 to 2 inches is not at all enough for a hamster. That doesn't give them any bedding to burrow in. That's just like completely inhibits them from doing everything that is natural to them. So please do not keep your hamster in a 12 by 12 cage with 2 inches of bedding. The next thing I noticed, which is good, this is a positive thing I noticed, is that it says cedar shavings are not recommended. It doesn't say anything about pine though, which I think should also be mentioned in there, but at least it does say to stay away from cedar bedding. It doesn't say anything about pine, which I wish it did. Then the last thing I want to bring up is the fact that it says cotton nesting material is okay. Now I'm sure a lot of us hamster owners already know that that fluffy cotton nesting material that they sell for hamsters is not safe. It can get stuck around their teeth, it can get stuck around their paws. If they eat it, it can get stuck in their digestive tract. It's just a very dangerous thing to give them. If you want to give them nesting material, it should be paper-based and not cotton-based. Okay, so that was it for the Syrian hamster care guide that I'm going to mention. Overall, I think that this was a pretty awful care guide. If you follow this, you are probably going to have a miserable hamster, so please don't do anything this says. Next up, let's go ahead and look at the ball python care guide. One thing I noticed right off the bat that I actually agree with is the experience level. I find many people and places often label ball pythons as beginner reptiles, and I actually, as a ball python owner, disagree with this. When I first got my ball pythons, they were my first ever snake, and I had quite a few issues with them. Ball pythons are very picky. Everything needs to be very perfect in order for them to be happy. A lot of the times they won't eat. I don't think ball pythons are difficult to care for by any means, but I don't think that they are as easy as some other snakes out there, such as corn snakes. Again, this is just my opinion though. I'm not saying I'm right or that this care guide is right. This is my opinion, and in my opinion, I agree with the fact that the care guide labeled them as intermediate. So one thing I noticed that I don't agree with is that it says ball pythons need a UVB light. This isn't true. Ball pythons do not need UVB. Well, you can still provide it to them. In some cases, it can actually be stressful. Ball pythons are nocturnal animals and they do have sensitive eyes, so sometimes bright lights can be very stressful to them. It really does depend on the snake though, and if they have a lot of hiding spots. Some people love providing them with UVB. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying in my opinion, I know that lights can be somewhat stressful to them, so I don't really agree with them saying they need a UVB light and a daytime heat lamp. Okay, the next thing I don't agree with is the substrate choice of this care guide. So here it says to line the bottom of your terrarium with reptile carpet, aspen, or coconut fiber. I do not actually agree with any of these beddings for a ball python. Reptile carpet is overall just a awful choice for a ball python. They need very high humidity, and a reptile carpet will not hold in any humidity at all. It is dry. If it gets wet, it's just gross, so that's not going to hold any humidity at all, so your snake would probably have awful sheds if it was kept on reptile carpet. And now the same kind of goes for aspen. Aspen does not hold humidity. A lot of people who keep their ball pythons on aspen have a lot of trouble with them shedding, and that is because aspen doesn't hold humidity. Anything with aspen, it's hard to get it over like 30 or 40% because when it does go over that, the aspen just tends to get moldy. And I speak from experience. When I first got one of my ball pythons, I put it on aspen and it was awful. The sheds were awful. The aspen was getting moldy and dirty and gross. Ew, I really do not like aspen for ball pythons. And the last one is coconut fiber. Now, I'm not totally against coconut fiber, but I am. I actually use it, but I mix it with a cypress mulch. Coconut fiber alone is very dusty, and that can be bad for the snake because ball pythons have heat pits all around their mouth, and dusty substrates such as coconut fiber tend to get stuck in their heat pits, and it can cause a lot of issues. Ball pythons have also been known to get respiratory infections because of it, so I do not like using coconut fiber alone. I think it's okay when you mix it with other substrates such as cypress mulch because then it becomes a lot less dusty and it's way less likely to get stuck in their heat pits. So I don't really agree with their substrate choices here. If I had to recommend my own choices, I would say to go with cypress mulch or a mix of cypress mulch and coconut fiber, but I wouldn't use coconut fiber alone. So that was just like the big main pointers of the ball python care guide. I don't think it was awful, but it definitely wasn't the best in my opinion. Like, it did recommend using a heat lamp and a UVB lamp, and I would definitely recommend a heat pad or a ceramic heat emitter over those two because, like I said, bright lights can be a little stressful to them, and I didn't totally agree with their substrate choice, but there was a lot of decent information in here, but I didn't agree with some of it. So then our last one here is Skinks. If you can see underneath where it says Skinks, it actually says Blue Tongue and Schneider's. I'm only going to be speaking on Blue Tongue Skinks because that is all I know. I don't know anything about Schneider skinks. I don't even think I know what a Schneider skink is. So I'm only going to be speaking on behalf of the blue tongue skink. But right away I can tell by looking at this picture that this skink on the front is of an Indonesian locale, probably a Merauke or a Halmahera. Can't know for sure just by looking at the face, but it is 100% an Indonesian subtype. Okay, so right away I see a huge, just a big no. So, oh my god, what? Why? So here it says for the substrate to use 3 to 6 inches of calcium sand or reptile bark. If you know anything about reptiles, you probably know that calcium sand is just like trash. It is the trash of the reptile world. Calcium sand is awful for anything, but especially a blue tongue skink. Now when it comes to blue tongue skinks, there's multiple different subspecies, but if you want to just easily group them together, there is the Australian species, which are like the northerns and the easterns, and then there are the Indonesian species, which are like the Meraukes and the Halmaheras. And they do have relatively the same care. One of the main differences would be their humidity levels. Australian species typically like lower humidity around 30 to 40%, where Indonesian species like a very high humidity around like 70 to 80%. But the fact that they are recommending sand is just awful. Imagine you're someone who goes out and buys a skink, which needs around 70 to 80% humidity, and puts them on sand. In case you didn't know, sand is very dry and you will probably have like 20% humidity using sand. Calcium sand alone is awful. Don't do that. Oh my god. Like, why would anyone recommend calcium sand for a blue tongue skink? Make sure you provide some plants and branches for your skink to climb on. In case you didn't know, skinks, especially blue tongue skinks, they have very, very, very tiny little legs which do not really let them climb. So one other thing I'm noticing is the temperatures it's recommending. So for the basking spot, it is recommending around 90 to 95 degrees. And as far as I know, that is suitable for the Australian species. Those are ideal basking temperatures for like the northerns, but when it comes to the Indonesian species, they like much warmer basking spots. A lot of Indonesian species will like their basking spots around 110 degrees, possibly even warmer. This does seem like the temperatures are decent for a northern species, but not for an Indonesian species. And same with the humidity. It says the target range of humidity is 30 to 50%, and 30 to 50% is pretty decent for an Australian species, but it is definitely not decent for an Indonesian species. And judging by the fact that they have an Indonesian on the front cover, that's a little strange if you ask me. And the last thing I noticed is talking about its diet. So here it says that a skink's diet should consist of insects, fruit, and vegetables. When it comes to protein, blue tongue skinks need a lot more than just insects. They need to be eating meat, like whole animal meat. Blue tongue skinks need to be eating like animal meat, and not just the meat, they need to be eating organs and bones also. So just feeding them insects does not give them all the nutrition they need. They definitely need to be eating meat with organs and bones mixed in. Overall, I do not think that this care guide was very suitable for blue tongue skinks. The only thing that was really good in here was maybe the temperature and humidity range, and again, that is only good for Australian species, not Indonesians. So I don't really think that this was a very good care guide. So when it comes to the 3 care guides that we looked at today, the hamster one was trash, like horrible trash. This one was pretty trash also, not very good. The ball python one was okay. It definitely wasn't great, it wasn't good, but it wasn't awful. I would say this one was okay. So overall, I think we can conclude that based on these 3 that we looked at today, these care guides aren't very reliable. They don't have very accurate information. So I would not be using the PetSmart care guides when it comes to researching an animal you want to get. I just want to say also that this is in no way any hate towards like any PetSmart employees or anything. I know that a lot of you guys probably work at pet stores, and I'm fully aware that there are also a lot of good employees at pet stores. Obviously, these care guides weren't the best, but I understand that there are still good employees who know what they're doing. The whole point of this video was just to focus on the care guides, not the company as a whole, not the employees or anything like that. So I am in no way trying to attack the employees or company. I just don't like these care guides. So that was it for the video today. Like I said, this is going to be a series. I still have a lot of care guides to go through in upcoming videos. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you are subscribed with my notifications turned on so then you guys will know when I post some more. Also be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and check out all of my social media. Everything is just EmmaSam99, and then my Younow is EmmaLSampson. Everything will be in the description below. Also guys, be sure to let me know what you guys think of this video. Did you like this kind of video? Did you enjoy it? Let me know. I would appreciate it. All that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.